Welcome to the Real Estate Rundown. If you watch the Super Bowl, you may have seen the Homes.com commercials. Homes.com is the best.com was what they kept saying over and over and over again. But when it comes to lead quality, something that I found interesting, Zillow just released a February 2025 investor deck. And inside their investor deck, they have this graph. We'll flash it up on the screen for you. And what they show is 25% of all of the buyers that attempt to connect with the Zillow agent actually end up transacting real estate, which is just an insanely high number. Now, not all of these are, of course, transacting with that Zillow agent, but the point is that Zillow has some of the highest quality leads coming into their site, coming into their funnel. So is Homes.com really the best.com? I don't know, because the proof of these high quality leads would suggest that Zillow still remains at the top of the food chain when it comes to
they're king of the hill.
Buyers and sellers. What do you guys think?
So hold on real quick. We got to break that down, because 25% is like obnoxious good.
Not of the traffic. These are people that are putting their information in to see a home or connect with the buyer's agent, right?
Yes.
It's an actual inquiry.
Yeah. Well, the intent is really solid.
They get a lot of traffic. I mean, millions of people go to Zillow.com just to look up addresses, but that's not what they're talking about, right?
No, of course not. I mean, not even that many people are transacting real estate in general. It's the individuals that connect with a Zillow Premier agent or a Zillow Flex agent. What's
surprising to me is that not many consumers understand that Zillow makes like 30 or 35% of that agent's commission if they use an agent that they connect with on Zillow.
Yeah. I remember 1000 Watt just did that
which
survey.
On a $500,000 house is $5,000 that Zillow makes off. And they're
for putting your name on their website and connecting you to a real estate agent.
And most people are just like, oh, well, Zillow's it's an information site, right? No.
Well, the interesting thing is Zillow could just like bury that in terms of service and say, oh, well, we disclose it, and nobody would know because nobody reads the terms of service, it seems.
Yeah. The 2,000 words of the TOS that's attached.
Yeah. In 8-point font.
Yes, exactly. So, but I think the part that needs to be pointed out here, and I mean, Jay, you do make a really valid point, is the intent here is pretty high. But I mean, like industry standard for me, like a lot of when you get into like, you know, your pay-per-click leads, even if you're in like the SEO game, whatever paid lead source it happens to be, a healthy conversion rate is like 3 to 5%. And that most of the time, that's when you're crushing it. The reality of it is my experience has been more like 1%. And so
not Keith. Keith's like 10.
Yeah, Keith's like, nah.
What are you
Keith
closer?
Is the absolute
Coffees are closer.
Best closer.
Coffee is Keith drinks a lot of coffee.
Actually, you
but
don't.
But no coffee.
You don't drink zero
I drink
coffee.
No coffee.
I know.
I mean, that's not an accurate statement. I do get me a white chocolate mocha maybe about half a dozen times a year.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But metaphorically, Keith drinks a lot of coffee.
I remember when we were in Colorado, you got a coffee. I was like, oh, you got a coffee.
Got a white chocolate mocha.
Yeah.
So just like every
with a
once
couple
in a
extra
while.
pumps of chocolate.
Yeah.
Wait, is it white chocolate? Is white chocolate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not chocolate. Is it really chocolate?
Well, what else is it? They have white
I mean,
chocolate.
have you ever seen a
and
white
dark
chocolate bean?
Yeah.
Well, it's not the beans.
Oh, it's the inside of the chocolate.
Yeah, it's like you actually get chocolate in it. So there's a form of coffee in it, but it's not like getting a brewed coffee. So.
No, but as Kayla was asking, is white chocolate really chocolate?
Chocolate, is it from like the cocoa beans?
Yeah, is there from?
I don't know.
That's for another podcast.
Comment
I was going to say somebody out there probably
us,
knows.
White
Drop it in the
chocolate.
comments.
So yeah, I mean the lead game is really interesting, and of course I think the portal wars are fascinating, and we know that Homes.com spent like $1 billion in an ad campaign that's still ongoing. But I would say that after watching the commercials, one of my favorite commercials, it happened to be a real estate commercial, was the Rocket Mortgage commercial. Did you guys see it?
Really good.
It was so
You would
good.
never know it was a Rocket commercial.
It was
just
they pulled
like
on heartstrings, right? That's what you're talking about?
Yep. Yeah. So they show a lady and she's pregnant, and then they kind of like show life and a journey and it happening. And the John Denver song, like Take Me Home, Country Roads.
That's right.
It was, and I love that song. And then so it doesn't stop at the commercial though. And I wonder how much extra, because the commercial for the Super Bowl was like $8 million. So how much extra did they have to pay for then it to be broadcast in the the actual stadium, and it cuts to the stadium, and the entire stadium is singing the song.
Gold.
It was amazing.
Yes.
It was such a cool moment.
Gold.
I thought that was so neat.
Yep.
Best commercial.
Worth. What is that worth? Clearly, whatever that was worth, I think that they smashed it in value.
yeah.
I think the only
got
commercial that made me laugh was the Mountain Dew one where Seal was actually a seal.
So creepy. What was
I didn't see that one.
You missed
And then
it?
Seal
I'm
was
gonna
on
go
a
look it
boat,
up.
like, and he's like, "That's a good looking seal."
I was making some
like,
ribs. I was smoking some
Okay.
ribs, and I needed to tend to
Oh
my
my
gosh.
gosh,
It was
like funny.
freaking hilarious. And Jason and I are like,
That's
what
the only
are
thing
we
that made me laugh
watching?
out loud. I was like, "What?" The
Oh wow, that's funny.
Seal is a seal. Yeah. The Super Bowl was
Yeah, it was a little lackluster this year, but I mean, whatever. It is what it is. It happens
Lackluster?
it happens every few years. Yeah, it was just a good old fat butt whooping.
Were you surprised?
Yeah, I was. The Eagles came to play, man. They threw down. I'm a Mahomes fan, and so like I never bet against that dude, just because I genuinely think when it's all said and done, he is going to be the goat of the goat, and he just got beat.
Nah, Joe Montana, man. That's the guy.
You are dating yourself.
Dude.
He's the goat
I
of the
don't
goat.
know. It's Montana. You have Steve Young right after that. Woo! You got a war right there.
Okay,
Yeah,
wait.
that was before like all the pads and stuff like that. I mean, these guys didn't even wear helmets.
So what can we learn in real estate from the Super Bowl? And I think would you say that the Eagles were the underdogs?
Yes,
Yeah. So
they were slightly. They were on the books.
yeah. So I think that, hey, if you consider yourself an underdog in your market, maybe you look at those top agents that are just crushing it, or these top teams that, maybe you're going up against one in a listing appointment. Like, don't count yourself out, right? Like you can dominate, you can get that business, and
You can do it.
But they were
Seriously,
prepared,
though,
right? Like
yeah.
I
Yeah,
think this is actually
prepare
a
and, like-
great analogy because they
Yes.
were prepared.
Yeah, they were.
They had a game plan.
they were ready to go, and they
Yep.
thought that they could do it. And I think that belief, and we've talked about this before recently on a
Yep.
podcast, is like you got to believe that you're capable, that it's going to happen for you.
But
Great
I
analogy.
think maybe the Chiefs believed a little bit too much, and they came out not very aggressive, and they got caught flat-footed, and
couldn't
they
recover.
they couldn't recover. Like
They got that.
their O line was terrible.
Oh man, who
he had no time in the backfield there.
who says it? Is it Cassius Clay that was like, or was it Mike Tyson? That everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
That
Mike-
was Mike
Mike Tyson,
Tyson.
That was definitely the result of that game to me.
What is your in real estate? What is your equivalent of everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face?
Everyone has a
Rates.
plan until someone cancels at the last minute.
Yep. You're riding high on your Zillow leads, and all of a sudden you have 3 escrows cancel in a month.
Or you take a commission advance and your deal doesn't close.
Gosh, Keith loves this. He's like sprinkled in commission advances now like a few times. He loved that. That's funny.
I'm pretty sure it feels like a punch in the face.
Well, and
Or the mouth, or
I
whatever
don't
you just
disagree
said.
with you because I think it's absolutely spot on, and especially probably for our environment today for most agents.
Or buyer gets the offer accepted, and then they call you the next day and say, "We've got cold feet. We got to get out of this. How can you get me out of this?"
Or you list the house, you prepared the house, it doesn't sell in a week, and then they want to cancel because it didn't sell.
Yeah.
Or you had a great listing appointment. You were 99.9% confident you were getting it. And then you get a call the next day and saying, I decided to choose XYZ person. Oh,
I got a call from
that's
my
a punch in the
buddy.
gut.
I got a call from my buddy, and I found out that they're licensed, so I got to go with him.
I got one. You sign a marketing agreement with the title company, and then the CFBP is formed the day after.
CFPB.
CFPB.
PB.
Okay.
Consumer
Do you
Financial
think that
Protection
I think
Bureau.
that Jason Mitchell is probably about the happiest he's been in recent years because the CFPB was told to stand down, and Jason Mitchell was recently, he's like apparently like the number one realtor in the
In the-
U.S.,
in the-
right?
yeah,
Or
in the
the number one
country,
team. If you don't know who Jason Mitchell is, he's
Big time.
he's a pretty big deal. Good guy, runs a
of a
very
big deal.
successful team. Anyway, he was sued recently by CFPB, and now CFPB CFPB. It is a mouthful.
Wait,
has been told to
did they
stand
sue
down.
you or did they
No, they had
charge you?
They pursued him and said that
court?
basically, that he was because he works with Rocket, and the referrals, they were saying that they basically were strong arming the leads that they were getting to use Rocket, right? Which when they were referred from Rocket, of course, he maintained the relationship.
Yeah, they actually sued him and Rocket and the Jason Mitchell Group. They said that they were offering dog bone awards.
Yes.
Which was like $250 gift cards to the agents who made the most referrals to Rocket, and basically alleging like a kickback scheme. You know, it's so interesting because if you have a great partner, of course you're going to refer that great partner. And I know we're supposed to give like 3 referrals and all of that. And so anyway, but do you think that Jason Mitchell was popping bottles when the CFPB was dismantled?
Yeah, when the new team was told them chill out.
Yeah.
Of course.
I would have been if
and
I
how
were him.
thankful he was because they offered him a settlement. I remember seeing his post, and so yeah, Jason, what's up? Seeing his post where he was talking about that he said no to the settlement basically because he believed that what they were doing is right and it wasn't egregious. It wasn't a violation, and he stood strong. And imagine if he would have settled, because it was like a 6-figure settlement that he would have had to cut a check for, which without a doubt he could have done, but he maintained his position, and now smart play.
If you believe him, he may have just known a new administration was coming in and just anticipated that it would have been dismantled and just thought, I'll stick it out for a couple more months, and who knows?
Either
But
way,
anyway,
smart. Either way, smart. Either way, it was a gamble.
Okay, let's shift and talk about the current real estate market. I saw some new data that in Phoenix, new listings are up by 40% year over year. So a lot
from
40
January
more
to January.
percent to choose from.
So a lot more inventory.
Wow.
More for buyers to choose from. We know that homes are taking longer to sell. Redfin recently said that it's the longest DOMs in 5 years, something to that effect.
So that means if there was 10,000 houses in the market last January, now there's 14,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me pull up. I have a little graph here that illustrates this.
Which inventory was atrociously low.
40% more supply. January of last year, we were sitting at about 15,000 units. And January of this year, we are at about 20,000.
Which is still low, right? For the Phoenix Metro,
It is.
20,000 homes is still low.
It is low, but the velocity at which they're selling has
Yes.
slowed. And so that's the concern, is that this is going to increase because we've not hit our spring selling season yet. We don't see those new inventory typically come to the markets like March or April.
Yep.
You think this is because people can't afford homes?
100%.
Yeah,
It has
of
to be
course it is.
affordability.
Yeah.
Has to be.
It's very high interest rates, and
I feel like the demand is as high as it's ever been. Like you talk to people, they want to buy a house, they want to move. It's just can I afford it,
or do I want to afford it?
or do I want to afford it?
Because
Fair enough.
I got a 3% interest rate,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go up 300,000 in price, but I'm gonna pay a 7% interest rate, so it's double interest rate. Why do it, right?
Yeah, it's like, it's
do I
like
really want to do it? Is it
skipping
really?
a level.
Yeah.
You have to like skip a level.
Is it really worth going? Yeah, because it may be a $300,000 jump, but it's like a $600,000 jump in
When it comes to your payment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just Phoenix. And so all markets are hyper local. We get that. And we know that your market might be overperforming other markets, right? So I'm not speaking to every market here, but in general, things are taking a little bit longer to sell. So what I want to talk about right now is what can agents do to move their inventory that's just sitting?
What we
were just
talking about that.
I was
Yeah.
about to say probably kind of a
Put it on
a
Facebook
repeat
Marketplace?
from last week,
Yeah.
from what we talked about.
Pray.
Well, I
You
think
can
that
put it
got to
on this
pray
thing
just
called
to
the
make it
multiple listing service.
Yes.
I use the multiple listing service to syndicate your listing to 250 plus other sites.
Yep.
Yeah, no, you're doing all of that. Let's talk about our cash offers though, and how they can unlock opportunity for you. And I think that this
Yeah.
gets missed on a lot of realtors, because a lot of realtors now are using the cash offer to lead generate for sellers. But how can you use the cash offers to have meaningful, powerful conversations with your clients to show them where the market is moving and potentially either get the home ready to sell if it needs condition improvement, or get it priced to sell? And I think that our cash offers can uncover both of those things.
You can get a price reduction just by showing them the cash offer, right? I mean, it's
hey, here's
genius.
what a tangible buyer is willing to pay for your house based on its conditions and market facts.
Yep.
I think it pulls the pie out of the sky and puts it like, here's what it is in front of you. Here's an actionable offer. If it works for you, great. Or we could take a price reduction of X% and get our house more in line with market, just like we were talking about last week. So we don't chase the market and we get in line with the market to slightly in front of the market, which is kind of what we need to be right now. So we put our house in position to be the next one that sells.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people should just do a price reduction instead of taking a cash offer, right? I mean, if they're in a position to keep making that payment for a few more months, just reduce the price. It's that simple.
Mm-hmm. But
sometimes
everybody...
we even tell people they want to accept our offer. We tell them, well, maybe you should just reduce the price, $5,000-$10,000 and get it sold right now.
Right. But not everybody has the luxury of time.
Yeah, cash is king sometimes.
If you have somebody that is in a position and they don't have the luxury of time, exploring one of the Zoodealio cash offers could really benefit you and your client. I know
or
Keith
get you a price reduction.
Keith has a lot to say on this.
Before you go, Keith.
You do.
But that's what makes the offer so different, because the house is going to be purchased in cash. It will be resold on the market, and you'll get the difference, right? Less the whole.
That's what Keith was going to say.
The reserve. But,
well, and we're specifically talking about
yeah, we're talking about one specific offer type.
What Zoodealio does is you enter an address and it will return for you a multiple array of offers. And so depending on the property and depending on where that fits with our investor network, we will match those investors to you. So typically you're going to see 3 to 5 offers returned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different ways that you can go about this. If you have a listing that's sitting on the market and you're unable to get it sold, whether you've had no showings or whatever amount of showings. We talked about this a little bit last week, where not every agent is comfortable approaching the seller to talk about price reductions, because if you're not used to it, it can be a little uncomfortable, but probably who makes it the most uncomfortable is the realtor themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Until you have that conversation, you don't probably genuinely know how that home seller is going to react. Some people, they don't like that. And then they think that you're just trying to get them to do something, you're not doing your job. But that all comes with delivery and how you go about it. So I think, simply put, is just continuing to provide them options, even if it's on the market. So if it's not getting sold, you can get a cash offer, present those opportunities to them. Just like everyone said here, here's what a buyer is willing to pay for it today. I just wanted to provide this opportunity to you to see if this is something that would work for you to streamline the process and get you to your next move. There's other opportunities out there as well, like a revive, so to speak, that let's say the house is in need of work, and that's probably the genuine reason why it's not selling. Yes, it's always price, but I mean, how much price do you really need to go down where the home seller is probably not going to agree to it? Hey, there's an opportunity where we can team up with this company. They can put XYZ into it, which will result in us, getting the roof fixed, doing the kitchen flooring, whatever that is. Here's the cost. We can take the property off the market and then actually position it in a better place and probably get you more money. Do you want your time spent on having it sit on the market, lowering the price, or do you want your time spent improving the property and having an opportunity to make more? Or if not, then hey, maybe price reducing is the best, right? And that's the approach that you take. And they're not just automatically thinking, oh, he's just asking me to slam down the price, because that is an objection. I've dealt with it myself, right? And they just think, well, what are you doing? Well, aren't you doing open house or blah, 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 blah. You know, they don't know what they don't know. They just think, oh, I'm going to get less. I'm going to get less, and I'm going to get less, and you know, whatever stories that they're creating, and whatever potential barrier and walls that now you have to overcome. So I feel like if you take that approach, you're changing the conversation, you're giving them options. And at the end of the day, maybe there are some home sellers that are just stuck on not doing price reduction, and how Jay's point brought up last week, where maybe they're just not the best client to work with at that particular time, because you're setting yourself up for failure, them for failure. Everyone's going to be frustrated, and we're not in the business of wasting our time.
Absolutely. He called it the ostrich effect. They just stick their head in the sand. But what I love about that, Keith, is oftentimes, you know, you take the listing and you set that list price and you market the property, you get showings or you don't, right? If you get them, you get feedback, and you have that meeting with the seller and you kind of reconvene as to where we stand right now. And then as you look for a go forward plan, I think what the cash offer does is it gives them very tangible numbers to where then they can really look at that bottom line, and then they can decide, does this work for me or not? Because you got to think, everything up until that moment has been theory. And what I know is that people crave certainty. And so when you can show them a certain path forward, oftentimes, and you'd be surprised at how often a homeowner will say, yeah, I want to take that option.
Or they'll come back around.
Yeah.
You know, it's been 30 days, 60 days.
True.
Hey, I'm ready
They're
now.
looking for that certainty.
You know, can we? So.
And we see that a lot. And so Keith is speaking from probably like trade secrets, like things that we see, that we know. And we'll talk about some of these things pretty openly. But what we know is that sellers will request a cash offer. They maybe will request an updated cash offer a couple months later. Maybe they'll get an updated one from there, and then they'll accept one. And so we do see that they're kind of nibbling at that cash offer process.
Yeah, and we see a lot of agents that you know, just don't understand this, right? They don't understand that a home seller would take a cash offer like this, right? And so they don't even entertain it.
They prejudge.
They're just gonna, you know what? I'm not. We see this all the time, and we just I think we go over this a lot. I think because we see so many agents that just they would never even entertain offering a cash offer to their seller, because they just think, oh no, they're gonna shoot it down right away. But a lot of times they will shoot it down right away, just like you said. 2 months later, now they're going, hey, let me look at that again.
Yeah.
Nothing else is working out.
Yeah, let me see.
That's pretty appetizing.
So if you don't offer that, then guess what? Someone else might, and then it's wipe that away from you. So you got to show everything.
Talk to that, Elliot, because we do see that a lot too.
Yeah, so I have something back on what I want to say, but I'll circle back to that. But yes, Kayla, to what you were saying, one of the things within Zoodealio platform is we work with thousands and thousands of agents, and we get thousands and thousands of requests every single month. So you have the ability to see agents work with different agents work with the exact same property. And it happens, I don't want to say every day, but often, to where agents that don't follow up, don't know how to present the offer, like Jason was talking about, didn't present the option. And it's sometime agent 3, 4, 5 that actually submits or requests the cash offer, and the homeowner wants to take it because they positioned it differently. And there's a lot of times
I always feel bad.
Yeah.
So we cross check, you know, obviously we're looking at that and we're seeing how many entries that home has in our databases. And I always feel bad for the agents that got the offer sooner.
They got to follow up.
And then don't get the opportunity. They got to follow up. And so that's actually why we created the home report, is because the home report will allow you to have that infinite nurture sequence, as
Follows
Elliot
up for
likes
you.
to say it.
Yep.
I hear
Yep.
that come out of your mouth a lot.
I know, I do
Infinite
like
nurture
it.
sequence. You love that phrase,
I do like
Elliot.
that phrase. I think I stole that from somebody. I don't
Are you
remember
an
who.
infinite?
Let's talk about
nurturer?
phrases we love. Anyone got another one?
Hold on. I like on the
Oh,
pricing.
Elliot's got
I
something
did have
else.
one more thing on
Okay.
the pricing, just because I think that when you watch like your TV shows and any of your real estate books, everybody always wants to talk about price, condition, and location. Well, there's a reason why that's been around forever, because most of the time it does come back down to those things, right? Like you can have a really high price for a not so good property, but it's next to the beach. Boom. Right? You can have a really great property that has price and the location backs up to a freeway. Right? Now you're in a price challenge, right? So what I'm getting at is more times than not, it comes down to those things. And so one of the things that the cash offers can solve is exactly every one of those particular pieces, even the location, right? Because then it comes down to price, right? How do you overcome? You can't pick up and just move the house, right? That backs up to the freeway. Unfortunately, it's going to be a price situation.
Unless it's a mobile home.
Yeah, but you could still, well, well, depending on it, right? Going to remove the tie downs and anyway, all the skirts. What I'm getting at is even when you still have those other hurdles and obstacles, when you focus on the condition, you can still make sure you're not going to get punched in the mouth as much as the property could if you solve the problems. So I think pricing a property, moving a property in our current market is you have to be real with the property. You have to be real with the client. Look at each one of those particular sections and solve the problems accordingly, and you'll minimize the damage and maximize the equity.
Sometimes it's a beauty contest, and sometimes it's a pricing war.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's both.
I think that's the market we're in.
That's
It
not
is
where we want.
both.
Yep.
And speaking of phrases we love, I love that phrase.
I do too.
It's a beauty contest or a pricing war, and now it's both. What are other phrases we love? Don't constrain yourself to just real estate, guys. What do you find yourself saying a lot? What are phrases we say all the time? I'll go first. What you focus on, you find.
Yeah,
I say that one
focus
all
on
the time.
expand.
What do you got, Keith?
Well, this is specific to real estate. Let's reverse engineer the deal.
Okay.
Yes.
I have one that's funny. We actually did an internal like family feud and put out a questionnaire, and one of the questions was what are the phrases that get said a lot around the office, and something that came up a couple times, and it's the wrong phrase, but it came up wrong in the questionnaire. It was nip it in the butt. So we must say
Bud.
that, but we're saying bud, but our team members think we're saying butt. They think we're saying nip it
B-U-T-T.
in the butt.
I don't say that, do I?
Nip it in the butt.
You say nip it in the bud.
Bud.
That's those words don't come out of my mouth.
No, it's not you. I figured it was you.
No,
Someone is saying
nip
that.
it in the bud.
I have to.
I don't feel like that's me either.
I tell when I have a habit when I'm talking with other realtors that it just automatically comes out of like, here's how I would handle a particular situation, and I assume that other people do this. So I say, I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here.
Yeah,
but
Yeah, that's definitely. Or another one I hear you say is, we can put a bow on this thing and wrap it up.
yeah.
I'm preaching to the choir.
I got that from Elliot.
Yeah, I remember that one was one I definitely used back in the day.
Yeah.
Maybe how you want to get there versus how I want to get there is different. But if we can meet in the middle, we can put a bow on this thing and get it wrapped up.
Yeah, exactly.
You could. I think that if anyone could just speak entirely in phrases, it would be Elliot.
Oh boy.
You could like only say other phrases, and like
Just string them all together?
He could.
As embarrassing as that is
It's not
facts.
embarrassing. You just gotta get the keys to the Ferrari and put the pedal to the metal and make the rubber hit the road, and we're gonna go
Rubber
to
to the
moon.
road, baby. Rubber to the road. Let's get out of theory, out of all this getting ready to get ready, and get into action.
I love that. Getting ready, get ready. What about you, Jay? What do you say a lot?
I don't really say much. I try to stay quiet.
You are a man of fewer
You
words.
don't have any phrases. As long as I'm like, dang, it's been a lot of years now, and I'm there's not one that jumps into my brain.
I'm sure one will come to me, but I'm having a hard time.
I know. Me too, actually. Whoa. Wait. You are my husband. What do you say a lot the same? Probably inflation is taxation a lot. Chris is laughing.
Yeah.
Bitcoin phrases.
Yes. To the moon.
Satoshi.
Yeah, I don't really have any.
What are your favorite phrases? You got anything that we might enjoy? Drop it in the comments. We appreciate you. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you've gained value out of this episode, be sure to give us a like, comment, and hit that notification bell so you get updated of our new episodes. Thanks for tuning in.